Hey, there's applause. We must be on the air. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the lovely Miller's Ale House here on Chastain Road. You're joining us for Three Guys Who Love Sports. My name is Chuck Burge, and we're here to talk sports for an hour. We've got friends that are going through some difficult times, and if we can take their mind off what they're going through for an hour and cheer them up, we're all about it. So I am joined today by my regular co-host, Mr. Robert Kinney. Robert, welcome. And a first-timer on Three Guys Who Love Sports, Ian King. Ian, how the heck are you, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic, Chuck.
Awesome. Awesome. So we want you to be able to participate, too, if you want to text in, or if you want to call in, or if you want to walk up and talk to us. Our phone number is 470-7-SPORTS, 470-7-SPORTS. That's 470-777-6787. And we'd love for you to participate. We're going to start off this week, as we do always, with a little Braves moment. Robert, what is happening in the world of Atlanta Braves baseball?
Let me see. We're 54-21 since June 1st. That's the best record in baseball. We just beat the second and third best records in baseball last week with a 5-2 record, and we've already swept the Pirates as of today by putting up a couple touchdowns.
Yeah, a couple touchdowns.
We're looking good. We're looking good. We're already on the plane to St. Louis.
Game and a half is as close as they've been in a long, long, long time, isn't it?
It is. It's really close, but not worried about it. I don't care for the wild card. I just care that we're playing baseball like we are right now.
You want to be in the playoffs. That's all.
Got to be in the show.
Got to be in it to win it.
Chip in a chair, baby.
Yep, chip in a chair. So my question is, the Braves are 7-9 against the Mets so far this year. They don't play the last series, but they play the series before last. I think they wind up against the Marlins.
Correct, which the Mets were scheduled to be the last series, but because the season was delayed by a week and a half, that's why the Marlins are in.
So now that's why the Marlins are on the back end. Well, my question to you and Ian is, by the time that we play the Mets, 3 of the last 6 games, is it going to be decided, or is it still going to be up in the air? Because if we're a game and a half out and we're under 500 by 2 to them already. If we'd beat them 1-2 more games, we'd already be in first, right?
Correct.
So will it be wrapped up by the time we play the Mets?
No.
Either way.
It's going to absolutely come down to the wire.
It's going to come to the last series with the Mets, right?
Oh.
Yeah. But, is Miami even going to play? I guess it's the Florida Marlins, technically, right?
Technically, you are correct.
But are they going to be up and at them?
Are the Mets playing the Phillies?
I'm not sure. Are you right?
I don't know.
Okay. I'm not sure, but we'll find out. So I don't know. I think it'll come down to that Braves-Mets series. I know they've got a lot of games between now and then, and so do the Mets. Mets just lost 2 to the Yankees, right?
I have a really hard time watching baseball when it's 2 New York teams because I'm really kind of hoping the stadium crumbles on both teams. But my buddies are telling me I should root for the Yankees. I have a hard time doing that.
Okay, so there's some other great things that are going on this week in baseball that I want to talk to you about. Albert Pujols, he is 7 home runs away from 700. Is he going to get there?
Yes. If he doesn't do it this year, which I think he has a really good chance to do it this year because they seem to be bringing him out in big situations and letting him swing for the fences. If not, I think he'll still sign on to be a Mariner or a Pirate or a Royal next year and come back and get his 7.
So you think he will come back next year?
If he does not get it, I think he will.
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
I'm okay with it because you're talking about the steroid era, and here's one guy who's right in the middle of the steroid era. He's bigger than everybody else combined, and we don't ever question it. And so if he wants to do it on his terms, I'm completely okay with that.
I think one of the biggest moments of this year was Pujols resigning with the Cardinals.
Absolutely.
And
it's a very cool moment, too.
Yeah, and very, very cool because that means he's going to be able to wrap out his career where he made his career in St. Louis. And the most important thing with Pujols being there is that he will hit that record. And I think he will not only hit that 7, but he'll probably hit, 8, 9, 10, or 11 more for the year.
Yeah. So he really has to he's got to hit 4 more to get to number 4, right?
4 more to get to
the number 4 most home runs in all-time history.
Correct.
Because somebody's just ahead of him at the 693 or 697
Right.
that didn't get there. I can't remember off the top of my head who it was, but
It would have been
Rodriguez.
probably. Oh, it could have been
I
A-Rod.
think it's A-Rod. Yeah, that didn't get there. So, so that's pretty cool. So, anything else on the Braves moment, Robert, or shall we move on?
We can move on. Just know that they're taking care of business, and we're not firing on all cylinders. So if we have the best record over the last 3 months, and we're not, I think we're going to take care of it.
Awesome. So let's move on to golf. We got a big week. We got a big week in golf at the FedEx Cup, right?
The FedEx Cup here at Eastlake.
So last week Patrick Cantlay won at the BMW, and he's the first person in 16 years to win the back-to-back playoff tournaments in professional golf. So that's pretty cool.
I thought Zalatoris won it the week before.
No, I'm talking about back-to-back, like BMW championship.
Oh, I
last
got you.
year,
I got you.
From
I got
year
you,
to year.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
And now Scotty Scheffler is the number one guy, right? He's
Back up on top.
back up the FedEx points.
Very heavy favorite. Yeah, very heavy favorite for Scotty Scheffler. Zalatoris is amazing though because having the injury that he had with the 2 herniated discs, he's withdrawn, and now he's gone.
So that's kind of odd. 29 players, right?
It is kind of weird that they are not, bringing the 31st guy along. Since
Yeah, the guy that got bumped last
Yeah.
week. Yeah, at the tournament. Yeah, why he's not on. But it's pretty cool. Is the playoff system fair? Is the structure of the tournament at Eastlake fair? I mean,
tell me the structure. I know we had this conversation, but
Well,
Scheffler
like
has a lead right
a
now.
2-stroke lead.
He has a 2-stroke lead
He starts
over the
at
second.
He starts at 10 under. He ain't even teed off yet.
So he has a 2-stroke lead over the second place. Does
Yeah.
he have a 3-stroke lead over third place?
He would have if Zalatoris was playing.
Okay, but then he has a 4-stroke over.
4-stroke over Cam Smith. And what was very interesting to me, who Cam Smith plays with tomorrow? Rory McIlroy. Man, you talk about a dichotomy in what's going on. That's going to be ugly. That's going to be ugly. I don't even think they'll even speak while they're walking down the course.
Yeah. Although I think that happens more times than not on the tour. I think people are in their moments and
Yeah, but like Cantlay and Xander Schauffele, they're now best friends. They play together all the time,
Right.
and they played 3 of the 4 rounds together last week, didn't they? At the BMW, I think that's right. Yeah, so pretty cool little tournament. If you've never been down to Eastlake, it's a great place to go.
To answer your question, Chuck, I really don't think you can do much more with the golf than you already are. There's a few sports that are kind of out there, NASCAR, golf, and bowling. I'm going to throw bowling out there because I was really having a hard time finding the third one. The goal is for you to be in first place and to get an award for the entire season. Well, it's hard to give you that goal if it's attainable to everybody on the final week. NASCAR has completely screwed that up to where I won't even watch it anymore because there were so many races in Atlanta over a 20-year span where somebody had already won the championship and they were just kind of riding around the track for no apparent reason.
Yeah,
But I think the wild card aspect, though, is what really spices it up for the PGA Tour, where you can go into that final weekend, be number 10, on the list, and end the weekend number 1.
No, absolutely.
but here's my question. I remember watching the British Open, and they said after the first day, if you're not within 3 or 5 strokes, you're toast.
Right.
And these guys are 10 strokes back, and do they even have a chance? How far back from first place can you be and still have a chance to win?
Probably not further than 5th or 6th place.
Yeah, that's what
but
I'm
that's
thinking.
Still okay in my book. I'm okay with that.
Are you okay with that?
I am.
Then why don't you give the Dodgers, because they have the best regular season record, a 1-run lead going into the games when they play in the playoffs?
Because it's a completely different thing because it's actually played on the field in baseball and football and basketball and hockey. You have made it to the playoffs, and then we were going to play a best out of 7 or a 1-game elimination as it is in football. In this, they can't have that, so they had to come up with some cockamamie thing and bring a couple mathematicians around for how many strokes the 7th place guy should get. But, the Dodgers get nothing.
Yeah,
No quarter,
That's the
no
only
anything.
sport that I know of where it's that it's ranked like that. I mean, but
NASCAR's close now.
NASCAR is close. But the other option is you put 10 players on the course, the best 10, and who wants to go watch two foursomes play golf? How many fans are you going to get? Well, I mean, we got 30 now, so we got 7 foursomes and a onesome, or 7 twosomes and a onesome going out. And it's not going to be a pretty thing down at East Lake.
And let me just say this too. It's kind of like bringing a closer out in a game where you have a 10-run lead. Being the first place guy and knowing that you have a really big lead might not be an easy place to be at all the time. So I think for Scotty, he's got to pretend that he's 5 strokes back and just play.
Yeah, even though he's 2 strokes up.
Correct.
Okay. So I think last week, I took Scheffler. I think I said I'll take the number 1 in the world, if I remember correctly.
You did.
But
I jinked Will Zalatoris, and that's why he no longer plays the game.
he will no longer be playing. Can't even play the President's Cup. So who do you think now? Who's your fill-in for Will?
Well,
Who will be your Will fill-in?
I'm going with Mullet Man.
Oh, jeez.
Just to make Chuck happy.
Did you do that to aggravate me?
I did. I watched the let remaining color leave your
Fade
face.
from my face. I am not a Cameron Smith fan if he's going to the LIV tour. How about you, Mr. Ian?
Well, I tell you what, I'm kind of surprised by Sepp Straka, where he has just completely fallen off this year, where he has had so many great finishes to the season or to each tournament. So many top 10 finishes, and has fallen all the way back to number 9 from being number 1 just several weeks ago.
Yeah.
So that, and looking at the big picture, I mean, Cantlay has a phenomenal chance of coming in and taking away the championship this weekend, because honestly, with that much of a lead that Scotty Scheffler has, that it takes away your focus, just as you pointed out, right?
It definitely can.
Yeah. And so, when you take that foot off the pedal, that's what we're probably going to see this weekend. And I would put good money on it to watch that happen. And speaking of money, the line right now is Scotty Scheffler is the favorite. He's up 240 points, but Cantlay is right behind him at 360. So
Yeah.
we'll see what ends up happening.
We're talking betting. I like that.
I like gambling.
Yeah.
Even on golf.
Even on golf. Yeah. So I think I stick with Scheffler, but I think I'm going to switch to Schauffele. I think Xander Schauffele is going to come back and win it this week.
Okay, I'll take your guy who has the big lead.
Scheffler? Is 2 strokes really that big of a lead?
I think it is for these guys, and so when you think about McIlroy, he just had the same problem. 3 weeks ago, he had a horrible Sunday, and the horrible Sunday knocked him back 4 or 5 spots to where now he probably doesn't
He's
have
6
a chance.
strokes back.
Right.
Does he have a shot 6 strokes back?
No, because he's playing with Mullet Man, and he's just thinking about that.
That's true, Mullet Man. That's funny. So that's pretty cool. So we've got golf out of the way. Or have you ever been down to East Lake? Ian, have you been down to East Lake?
I have not, and I've been to Oakmont up in Pittsburgh, but I've not been down to East Lake. That's somewhere where I need to go, and I might just make it happen this weekend.
You're going to give away tickets today?
No, I'm not giving away tickets. I'm looking for tickets, but
Yeah, that's a fun tournament to play. If you haven't been down there, it's a really, really cool place to be. Larry, we need the write out on our 2 sponsors. Thank you. So we got sponsors we need to address, and we have no text. So we'll take care of that in a second, and then we'll move on to some football. Ian, if you see, he is a big Penn State fan. So before we get into that, we'll read one of our sponsors. Robert, you want to go ahead and do yours today first?
Sure. Modern Image is a locally owned document and photograph scanning company that helps clients secure and use paper files and photos. Whether it's important business files or sentimental family photos and videos, Modern Image is dedicated to helping clients solve problems around paper. Go Dogs.
Oh, please don't say that last two.
Hey, when you pay us money, you get to pick your closing words.
You do get to pick your closing word, so that's okay. We'll let David get away with that. I'll say go Jackets, but go Dogs is fine. So we talk a lot about college football, and college football is here. Did you realize that they actually have games this weekend?
There are, using the term games lightly, but yes, they
I would
are
use the
suiting
term
up.
teams lightly.
Yes. So what is the highlight game this week in the Big Ten, Ian? It's the only one.
It is the only one.
Do you know what it is? The Cornhuskers and the Northwestern Wildcats.
Nothing
are
like
teeing
that.
it up this weekend.
Thespians and Cornhuskers.
Yeah, I tell you,
Thespians and Cornhuskers.
the Northwestern, I'm just absolutely shocked that they have not progressed as much as they should have with Pat Fitzgerald as their
Great
head
coach. Yeah.
Phenomenal coach, puts less than desirable talent on that field and makes them competitive every single week. But the problem with Northwestern is that much of the same problem that Tech has, where they have very high academic standards, and it's hard to get those kids in the door when you're coming to recruit.
Did Chuck pay you $5 to say that?
No, he is actually a Tech fan too.
Okay, I'm just
Ian
joking.
is a Tech fan, second to his Nittany Lions. So yeah.
Yes, they are very near and dear to my heart. Married into a Tech family, so here we are. But the Nebraska, though, with their move to the Big Ten, almost 10 years ago.
Has it been that long?
It has been that long. Actually, it is 10 years ago over 10 years ago, because they were playing that first weekend. I was here in Georgia. So, Big Ten matchup against Penn State, and that was the year of Penn State scandal. But Nebraska, they're on the mend. They're coming back. And, I think we're going to see a big Nebraska victory, by at least 3 touchdowns.
What's the spread on the game? Maybe you looked it up? Yeah. So
I have not.
there are some other games this weekend. We'll talk briefly about them, and we'll get back into some more Big Ten talk. But let's see. Florida A&M. Can anybody name their mascot? What? No, the Rattlers. Florida A&M Rattlers. They're playing at North Carolina, so we get to see some ACC action.
Nebraska is favored by 13.5.
By 13.5. Yeah. Wow.
At Northwestern.
At Northwestern. I bet it's not cold in Chicago yet, so they'll be okay up there, right? Duquesne is at FSU, so we get to see.
That'd be a heck of a basketball game, Chuck.
Yes, it
Duquesne.
would. Duquesne, yep. The Dukes, Duquesne Dukes, is that their nickname?
That is their name.
Yeah. And then we have Vanderbilt at the aforementioned Hawaii Fighting Rainbows. So
7.5 point favorites on the road. You travel 6,000 miles, and they still think you're 7 points better than the competition.
That's a long swim.
That's a long swim.
Yeah. So getting back to the Big Ten, we talked a little bit off the air before we got on. Ian, we talked about, I think that the Big Ten is a little bit stronger top to bottom than the SEC. I'm surrounded by all these dog sympathizers, or whatever you want to call them.
Just
Tell
normal
me,
football people.
Tell me what your thoughts are, the Big Ten versus the SEC.
Looking at the stats, year in, year out, being a Big Ten fan down here in the South, being surrounded by SEC fans left, right, center, every which direction that you look, it's a hard argument to make and still get out of the bar alive. But it's an accurate argument that has been valid for the last 5 years. However, though, with the performance of the Big Ten this past bowl season against the SEC, that's where I think that the tide has truly turned. Because looking at the head-to-head matchups that we had this previous bowl season, the Big Ten didn't put up when they needed to. They didn't show up, and they didn't put out the results that the Big Ten needed to have bragging rights over the SEC. And so, that said, it has made our lives as being Big Ten transplants in the sunny South that much harder.
Sunny South. So what's on store for the Nittany Lions this year? James Franklin, right, Coach? What's he got going on up there?
All right, so to back up my point a little bit about the comparison between the Big Ten and the SEC, looking back at the SEC, when James Franklin came to his meteoric rise with Vanderbilt, the lovable losers that nobody loves and nobody watches.
He was only there 3 years.
He was only there 3 years and nearly won the SEC East every single year because of the transition of, the SEC East every single year because of the transition of the power of the conference. You had Florida, who was just coming off their high of being the dominant team in the SEC East, and the transcendence of a muddling Georgia. And so James Franklin was able to do what he needed to do in the competitiveness of the SEC East, which was not very competitive at the time, and come and dominate and come and show up and put a bunch of kids on the field that were absolutely able to show up and play with the top talent top NFL talent in the coming years.
Right. I don't think I've ever heard the words Vanderbilt and dominate in the same sentence.
Well, and he might be overstepping the sandbox that Vanderbilt's allowed to play in.
Yeah.
In James Franklin's time, he was 11-13 in the conference. So now 11,
which for Vanderbilt is not bad.
It's a huge thing, but maybe not exactly dominant.
We're going to use the golf thing here, right? Where they have the handicap. So realistically, that's like 21 in
Oh,
one.
absolutely. If they won 11, they were probably favored. Yes, they're like 19-2 or something.
Yeah, right.
So tell me this. I love to ask people a question. Tennessee is one of the schools I love to make fun of more than any other. And it's not anything to do with Tennessee. It's who you think you are. Tennessee fans think, I'm Alabama. I'm Ohio State. No, you're neither one of those two programs. So with James Franklin and everything that he's been doing, now the last couple of years, you had the COVID year, but last year and this past, in the year before, you were 4-5 in the conference both times. Are the folks in Happy Valley okay with keeping him around for a while, or is he almost to the point where he better start doing something?
Yeah, and so here's the thing. With James Franklin doing what he did, where he did it previously at Vandy, coming to Penn State and doing what he's done at Penn State in the first couple of years, again, we had transition going on in the conference, in the division. And so that's what allowed us to actually come in and win that Big Ten title back in 2016.
Right.
However, James Franklin is James Franklin, and he is not after the pursuit of excellence. He's after the pursuit of winning, and so like that, it's a huge difference between pursuing excellence and just pursuing good enough.
But are fans okay with him pursuing excellence at a 4-5 record?
That's what's going to come to light here in the next 2 years. Because if he does not come in this season or the following season with a Big Ten championship and a win against the rivals Michigan, Ohio State, and coming in and pulling it out, we're going to have a major problem in Happy Valley, and Happy Valley is going to be pretty unhappy.
Let me just say this, and I'll just you had mentioned earlier the word scandal. And that'll be the only word that I mention with it as well. But when that happened, James was not the coach when it happened, but hired immediately right afterwards. Is that correct?
No, that is incorrect. We had Bill O'Brien coming in to.
That's right.
To
Bill
be
O'Brien
the bridge
got all the pieces.
That took Paterno, took the Paterno era.
Joe
brought us
Pop.
to James, and brought us the James Franklin era, and I love Bill O'Brien. I wish that he could come back and be our head coach again.
I think he wishes he could do that too. Cause
I know, because that NFL career was pretty bad.
Yeah, that was a mess that he went down to.
Yeah, but the James Franklin. I mean, in all honesty, I believe that he's able to put a good team on the field, but he's not able to put the best team on the field every week, and that's the problem with James Franklin. Yes, I know he says 1-0, 1-0, 1-0. His mantra is like, we are 1-0, 1-0, 1-0. That's every single game week. You see him tweet out, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, beat whoever we're playing, beat Iowa, beat Ohio State. It's just.
I think he's a great coach. I think he's probably a super person. He kind of reminds me, he's kind of like a Mark Richt as far as that kind of stuff. But it all comes down to the people in Middle Pennsylvania. You know, if you're okay with 5-2 and he can start doing 5-2 or 7-2, that's one thing. But you know, do you think you should be ahead of Ohio State? How many? You know, out of every 10 years, how many times should Penn State have a better record or be ranked higher than Ohio State? That's a tough question, but
And in Penn Staters' minds, and all the Nittany Lions fans out there, our viewpoint is the fact that we should be 5-5 in a 10-year span with Ohio State. We should be neck and neck with them, or we should be 6-4. Like, and we want to be 10-0 realistically. That's
but you
that's
didn't
a
say
want-to.
that. That was the good points for you.
but the reality is if you're meeting Ohio State 10 times, if you're going 5-5,
Absolutely. You'd be okay with
that's
that.
respectable, because you know what? Ohio State is one of the most dominant programs in the country.
Agreed.
They're one of the best programs in the country, and they've put a phenomenal program together under Ryan Day after their Urban Meyer era. And unfortunately, the sweater vest debacle that we absolutely loved as Penn State fans, watching Jim Tressel take the ship down, it was absolutely fantastic. However, good things can't always last.
Yeah, I know all about that Tressel stuff. I'm a Youngstown guy.
So who's the favorite in the Big Ten this year? Is it Ohio State?
It is Ohio State, hands down. Every single analyst out there and every single person that gets paid to write columns has picked Ohio State to be the Big Ten East champion and the Big Ten champion.
And C.J. Stroud is the favorite for the Heisman too, right?
He is.
Yeah.
So do you think where do most people have you as third in that side or second?
Yeah, we are third because you know what? With Michigan doing what they've done last year and where they've come along from, Michigan's number 2 in the rankings in the preseason rankings, but as we all know, preseason rankings don't really mean very much because
we've talked about that a lot on here.
Yeah, because at the last time that Penn State was unranked coming into the regular season, as they are this year, was 2016 when they came away with the Big Ten title. So, hopefully that's a good omen, but only time will tell.
How do you feel about that Auburn game looming in week 3?
I think that's one of the most exciting matchups that week.
Oh yeah,
and I'm extremely excited to be there live and
going to Jordan Hare, are you?
Oh yeah,
Nice.
We're going to Jordan Hare, and it's going to be a great time.
Great stadium.
Yeah, Auburn's such a beautiful campus and beautiful college town. It's fantastic down there, and I'm just really excited to go down and play them. The good thing though for us is that we're playing Auburn, so it's the lesser of two evils of Alabama, so to speak, and the less difficult of two evils in Alabama.
Absolutely. Do you have a cousin named Vinny or anything? Because if anything happens while you're in South Alabama,
You could
might
get in trouble.
You might
down there
need to
with the
know
local
somebody.
boys. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So who do you like in the West?
This year with the West, Wisconsin's the dominant team in the West every single year. It's
Got an intern who's begging for a bone here.
I know, right? No, but Wisconsin, they're going to be the team to beat in the West. Now Minnesota is going to be a close second, but between Wisconsin and Minnesota, there's not really much else competition. However, though, Purdue last year had a phenomenal year, and that's actually a pretty scary matchup. Being a Nittany Lion fan, going into Purdue on a Thursday night, first Thursday night game ever in the history of Penn State football. So
Really? At Minnesota?
No,
at Purdue?
Yeah.
The Boilermakers. All right, cool. I'm a big Wisconsin fan. I don't know why, if it's just the jump around thing that they do at the end of the third quarter. I think is really, really cool. But last year, I watched a lot of Wisconsin football, and I would say
Sorry, Chuck.
first 7 or 8 games of the year, they had a phenomenal defense. They were stopping everybody.
Yeah, they stopped Illinois and Western Michigan and all those other teams.
They played some pretty good Big Ten games. They played some pretty good ball games. And they've got a phenomenal running back in Braylon Allen, sophomore. I think he's going to be the leading rusher in the country this year.
They do produce a lot of those running backs.
Yeah, they do. Well, just like Wisconsin's kind of become running back like Georgia used to be.
Sure.
Back to the days in Davis and Herschel and all those guys. But and Penn State was always linebacker U, right?
It has been.
Are they still linebacker U?
At this stage of the game, I would still argue that they are because, in terms of NFL linebackers,
There's a lot of them out there.
Yeah, there are still a good amount of Penn State NFL linebackers out there. And putting the best talent at a given position from one individual university, I think that Penn State is definitely linebacker U, and that I don't think that's going anywhere for a long time.
Just don't argue with anybody from Tuscaloosa while you're visiting Jordan here.
And before we move on to college pro football, did you see Super Lou's new contract this week?
No.
Through 2030, Lou Saban is now signed through 2030 with an average salary of $11.2 million a year. Roll Tide or Roll Cash. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So that's pretty thing. 11.7. Want to say 11.2? Yeah, 11.7. 11.7, 11.2. When you get to that point, does it really matter?
So Nick Saban, in terms of longevity of career, he will be the next Joe Pa. He's not going anywhere. That's what he lives for. He breathes.
But
he breathes football. He really does. Yeah.
He is so far, and once again, I was born in northeastern Ohio, so I know of Joe Pa, and I know of this, and I know of that. There's nobody who's like Saban, because I mean, we know what happened in Happy Valley, and nobody knew about that. Everybody's watching Nick Saban. He can't spit on the sidewalk without somebody raising a red flag. And to think he's doing everything he's doing, my only question for you guys, is he still around in 7 years? Has he had a heart attack on the side of the field and possibly died?
Because he's 70 now? Is that what Saban is?
That's right. He's turning 71 this year, I believe.
Yeah, he's 71 this year.
And you watch him; he's as cool as the other side of the pillow in a tough ball game. But if they're up by 47 over the Zips and somebody misses punt coverage, he might keel over right there on the side.
He might lose it right there.
He does. He does.
All right. Well, before we move on to pro ball, we're going to mention our second sponsor is Bearcat Express. Expedited shipping, hand carry items, car, van, or pickup trucks. You ring and we spring. Do you need a delivery right now? As in, go now, please. We have drivers in Atlanta, Athens, Macon, Augusta, Charlotte, Birmingham, and Dothan, Alabama, and in Memphis, Tennessee. Time-critical pickups, whether it be medical, delayed luggage, golf clubs left behind, passports, keys left behind, label companies, time-sensitive attorney checks, dogs that you would rather not fly on airplanes. If your critical package did not make it to the FedEx or UPS in time and process gets delayed, call the Bearcat Express team to get them moving right away, and you will have live tracking where your critical package is along the way so your customer on the other end knows when to expect it. Communication is our main priority with Bearcat Express. We are the go-to courier in the Southeast USA. That's BearcatExpress.com. Make sure you use them when you need a package delivered immediately. Speaking of immediately, let's move on to the pros. We had some interesting football games this weekend. Did you see the Falcons play this weekend?
I did.
And what were your overall thoughts?
I was good. I don't really care about Marcus Mariota. I know everybody's, hoping he can rekindle a little bit of magic, but I'm all about Ritter. Ritter had a really good game, and hopefully they continue to play him so that we know next year at draft time if we need a QB or if we can go get a big ugly.
We need some big uglies.
We need a lot of big uglies.
We need still some big uglies. I was actually very impressed until I realized that the Jets did not have any starters on the defensive side, even in the first half. They were like second and third stringers. But Falcons played okay. They looked okay. I mean, Kyle Pitts made one catch for, 52 yards. They had a couple of other pretty big plays. I think Algier is going to be a decent back. I think he runs well. I think he runs hard. I think he's going to be decent. But is it enough for the Falcons? I know I'd said before that the Falcons are going to be 8-9. Is that right?
You said something foolish like that.
I think 8-9 is very generous for this Falcons team.
Do you really? Well, tell me why. Because I don't see anybody else in the NFC South that's going to run away. Tampa Bay's line is torn up. I don't think Brady's going to survive 5 games. I think he's going to get killed at some point in time.
I've been betting
every week and every year. He's 45 freaking years old.
I've been betting on the demise of Butt-Chin Brady for a long time now, and I'm just done making those bets.
Yeah, that's a good point. And Carolina, I mean, they lost Matt Corral this week. to injury. Of course, he wasn't going to be in the big picture anyway anytime soon. But Matt Darnold's out, and Baker Mayfield is now the quarterback for the Carolina Panthers starting week 1. And you know who they play week 1? Cleveland Browns.
Cleveland.
So that should be interesting. Baker going back against his old team. So,
but not going head-to-head against the guy who replaced him.
no, it'll be a while before we get to see Mr. Watson participate in any professional football games. Yeah. So, who is going to win the NFC South? I don't think Jameis Winston's a quarterback for any team. I've never been a Jameis Winston fan. I was a huge Bobby Bowden fan, but I've never been a big FSU fan. But I just don't think he's the guy to quarterback a professional football team to a Super Bowl.
You know, I would have to argue that, you know, they will win the NFC South in spite of Jameson Winston.
Because of the defense?
Because of the defense. And you know, they've shored up that secondary this offseason with Tyrann Mathieu coming back home and playing for the home state Saints.
Honey Badger.
Yeah.
Honey Badger.
The Honey Badger's back.
Yeah.
But, you know, and also we have to keep in mind, you know, how much Alvin Kamara's, you know, pending charges pending prosecution is really going to dictate how this year and this season turns out for the Saints, because he is such a huge portion of that offense. You know, when they run the ball,
65% of it.
Yeah, when they run the ball, throw the ball, it is running through Alvin Kamara, point blank, and he's the best player on that Saints team. And so if Alvin Kamara is out the last 4 games of the year, that's going to completely change the dynamics of who wins the NFC South, because, you know, the NFC South schedule is backed up. You're going to see the majority of the NFC South matchups, you know, at the beginning of the year and the end of the year. They have the bookend schedule, and we're going to see how bad each NFC or how good each NFC South team is going to be in between those head-to-head matchups.
They're all really bad. I think the Bucs are going to win this division, not because they have a good offensive line, but probably because they do have Butch and Brady. The interesting part to me, I don't think, you know, I think Kamara and Winston can keep them somewhat relevant, a 9-8 type team or something like that. What's more and more interesting to me is how healthy is the ground game in Carolina. Is he back to where, you know,
McCaffrey, you're talking about.
McCaffrey, yes, sir. I've seen a few things that have him going number 1 overall in fantasy football. I haven't seen it. I mean, I really haven't seen it. You know, the guy has
he's injured. He's injury plagued.
He has been.
He
the
hasn't
last
played
2
a
years.
complete season yet, has he?
No, he played his first 3 seasons were all complete. It's the last 2 that he has not.
Yeah.
So he did go 16, 16, 16 his first 3, and you know you thought the size wasn't a big thing, but you know sooner or later, size matters.
It does matter, especially between the tackles.
Yeah, especially when you're getting hit all the time.
Because, you know, and that's what it comes down to for this NFC South. You know, between the tackles is what's going to make and break each of these teams throughout the duration of this 18-week schedule.
I agree.
Because, you know, as Chuck mentioned earlier, you know, Tampa Bay, they have their entire offensive line out. Excuse me, not their entire offensive line, but, you know, the majority of their
But
best
they got
offensive linemen
Julio.
are out. Yeah, they do have Julio, and they do have the targets. So it's going to be a extremely quick pass game for Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh, so you mean it's going to be something he excels at?
Yes.
So
exactly.
Leonard
Three-step
Fournette's
up.
Leonard
Three-step
Fournette's not the focus guy in Tampa Bay.
He
No.
could become that.
He could be. He will become the primary back and fulfill the, you know, the running back that he should have become, you know, when he came out in the draft, but unfortunately was taken by
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville, yeah.
And Jacksonville has been, you know, the
Bottomless pit of the NFL.
It has.
It's really bad. I've got a lot of family from the Jacksonville area, and you know, every time they get excited, I'm like, well, you know, don't get so excited about Urban Meyer. Did you see who he hired for his strength and conditioning coach, the guy out of Iowa? And then, you know, Tebow's going to play. It's like,
Oh, no.
more of the same stuff. I I have hope for them this year, though.
That was more of a circus down
It
there
was-
than
it
it
was.
was
It
with,
was-
with
it was a
Urban
sideshow.
Meyer down in Jacksonville than it
It
was
just-
anything else.
What it tells me is how much shit you can get away with in college football, and people will look the other way. You
You can't get
you
away
try,
with
you
that
try
crap
to
in
bring
the
that
pros.
clipboard with all that funky stuff to the pros. People are like, nah,
Yeah.
that's not how it works. Maybe in Gainesville, Columbus, or somewhere else, but not in an NFL town.
Yeah. So, overall, we've got to think that the AFC is the stronger conference, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I
So,
think so.
so who is any good in the NFC? Period. Not just NFC South, but who's good in the NFC?
That's part of the reason why Tom Brady came to the NFC and came to Tampa Bay because, the NFC South has been down for so many years now, and
Ever since Falcons went to the Super Bowl.
But it's funny talking about that. And yes, they have been, and obviously this is switched. But I can remember having the conversation 5 years ago where the NFC South had the best quarterback play possibly in NFL history for a division. You had 3 first ballot Hall of Famers in Cam.
Cam's not a first ballot.
He
Hall
was
of
at the
Famer.
time where the argument
okay.
was being made. He was an MVP. He had taken his team to the Super Bowl. He had done all these other things, and then the weakest link was Tampa Bay, and that was of course Crabman himself. But now he's switched ships. I'm not impressed with anybody in the NFC. The Packers, yes, they can run the ball. Yeah, they got a great quarterback, but who's he throwing it to? Still haven't.
Sammy Watkins,
Yeah, I've seen that tape
Alan
before.
Lazard.
Yeah, I've seen that stuff. And then it really pains me to say this team out loud. Cowboys.
Oh gosh, that's
They've-
worse than
they-
worse than Cam
they
Smith.
have, they have talent though. They've got a quarterback who, if he stays healthy, if he gets the ball to CeeDee Lamb, he's one of the
But
one of the
they've been
best.
saying the Cowboys are back for years and years.
No, that's
and
just Jerry
years.
Jones who's been saying
Yeah,
that.
and they're not. Yeah.
but I tell you what, with the NFC, the division to beat this year is going to be the NFC West. I mean,
in both divisions, AFC and NFC, I believe.
yeah,
West is strong.
the West is strong, especially in the NFC this year. I mean, you have the Rams coming back as Super Bowl champs, and they're fully loaded, fully stocked, and they have one of my alma mater Nittany Lions on the team now. Just signed in Allen Robinson, so he's going to be a top target for Matthew Stafford. and
First
he's gonna-
time he's had a good quarterback thrown to him in a long time.
Matthew Stafford. Another joke. Yeah, that's okay. So the most amazing stat that I got out of the Falcons game this weekend, and you guys may have heard it. How many players, when Fontenot and Arthur Smith took over 2 years ago, are still on the Falcons roster?
I did not hear
Did
the
you see
number, but
this?
it's probably 20 or less.
What do you think, Ian?
I would say we're going to be at around 18% of the same stat.
14 players that were there 2 years ago are still on the Falcons roster. That
is-
blew me away.
that's-
But it made sense because I watched the game. I don't know anybody. I know Kyle Pitts. I knew Marcus Mariota, but he wasn't there 2 years ago. I know Grady Jarrett. I knew Matthews. But there are a lot of players. Lindstrom, offensive lineman, and McClary, is that his name? The other one that they drafted a couple of years ago?
Correct.
And I think from the Super Bowl championship or the Super Bowl participation game, there's only 2 players left. So the Falcons have just turned over completely. We are now in a totally different Falcons era. I mean, and I like that about Arthur Smith. He came and he said, I'm going to take my players. They're going to have the skill sets that I want. They're going to be the sizes. They're going to be the shape that I want. And Dean Pease, the defensive guy, said, dude, we've been in the bottom half of the league for 15 out of the last 20 years. He said, that's not going to happen.
Well, I didn't know Chuck when these guys took over, so we never had this conversation. But it's so difficult when a GM and a head coach come over to an area because nobody wants you to completely blow it up and win 3 games this year. So you got to dump some of the high contracts, which of course handcuffs you for some of your things. These guys have taken care of business. In less than 2 drafts, they had gotten rid of both wide receivers and quarterback. They've done a great job. We haven't won yet on the table, but it's kind of like when Jerry Glanville had a team, and we had no tight ends and no fullbacks.
The Grits Blitz.
You know, when Dan Reeves inherited that team, it's going to take a little while. We're going to have to find some people who are a little bigger, might block occasionally. So, you know.
Yeah, Larry, if you could, we want to get somebody from Miller's on the mic. If you can find somebody, Bailey or Mark. I just saw Mark walk through. Even Sean, if Sean wants to sit in, he's Billy. Sean, come and sit with us for a minute. I'm talking to you. Yeah. Come on, Sean.
He's got his own cheering section.
Yeah, Sean. So Sean's going to come and sit with us for a second. Larry, we're good. Sean will do it. So when we do that, we're going to move on to some fantasy football league, because tomorrow night, Three Guys Who Love Sports has our fantasy football league draft right here at good old Miller's Ale House out on the veranda. So we make sure you want to come out and join us for that. It's going to be a fun time. We're going to have all kinds of good people coming to participate in that. 12 teams, and we're raising money for helping one guy. So it should be awesome.
Is it bad that I'm praying for your misfortune or the misfortune of all 11 other people?
Yes.
Okay.
No, it's not bad. That's kind of what it's supposed to be. You're supposed to wish bad. Come around the other side, Sean. There you go. Let him sit in for you a second there, Ian, and let Sean tell us about what's going on at Miller's Ale House today.
I just need a couple. I just need a couple horrible picks in that first round.
Well, Larry's still picking ahead of you, so you got a shot.
Yeah, but Larry's got a high enough pick. He's you might question his pick, but it's still going to be a top 10 pick.
Well, it's got to be. He's number 3. So, hey, Sean, welcome, buddy.
What's going on?
How are you, sir?
And Sean, the Bills and Jets fan, is bartender here at lovely Miller's Ale House. Sean, who's your team? Who's it going to be, the Bills or the Jets this year?
Well, you know, the Jets are going to let me down like always. I'm not really much of a Bills fan. I'm a Falcons Jets, so I'm looking at number 31, number 32 in the league for the season.
Yeah.
I'm a Bills Falcons fan, so I've gone through those. Well, which one of my teams is the worst team? I really don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're neck and neck this year.
Yeah, they are.
So tell us what's going on at Miller's. What's good going on here?
Full bar. In fact, 2 full bars. Fantastic bartenders, if I don't say so myself.
Absolutely.
Great specials every night. Got prime rib on Thursdays. Full rack of ribs on Monday, always on special.
How many TVs you got in this place?
What am I, Rain Man?
Could be.
A bunch.
53, 56.
So many that if you show up and wow, he's got a whole section working here.
The Sean Van Club is here.
Well, it's a pretty exclusive group. They don't get green jackets or anything, but
But sometimes they get a little extra on their drink.
Yeah, a little extra on the drink, a little extra coming back to you, all right? That's awesome. Well, we appreciate you sitting in and talking with us.
Yeah, no worries.
We'd love to have you every week. It's a great thing.
We'll see you tomorrow night.
Yeah, we'll
I'll
see you
be
tomorrow
here.
night for the draft.
Sweet.
Sean's going to be picking for me, so we'll see what's going on.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right, thank you,
Thanks, Sean.
You bet. So, like we said, we've got our Fantasy Football League draft starting tomorrow night at 7 o'clock here at Miller's Ale House. Ought to be a lot of fun. I am in the 7th pick. Larry, the engineer, is the 3rd pick. And Robert is in the 12th pick. So, looks pretty sad for you.
Unless you guys really screw some stuff up, and then all of a sudden it looks really good.
Ian, you can come back in. So, yeah. So, So we're gonna have a lot of fun tomorrow night. It's really weird. We will broadcast live on Facebook Live if you want to watch a fun fantasy football league draft tomorrow night. It will be live on Facebook Live under Three Guys Who Love Sports. So welcome back in, Ian. Are you in any fantasy football leagues?
I am. I'm in my neighborhood fantasy football league. It's basically the younger contingency of the people that live in my HOA that are all together in a league, 12-team league, and in all
PPR?
honesty, it has not been PPR, and that has been a killer for me that it is not PPR because I'm in another league as well that is a PPR league, and the PPR is just superior just because it mixes up the game so much where you could have a highly targeted guy that is able to pull him down but not get that much yak after the catch and that many yards after the catch that it completely changes how you draft for
Absolutely.
your
Wide
team.
receivers can actually get as many points out of as a running back now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, have you had your drafts yet for your league?
We have not. We're always going into the last weekend before the kickoff. So
Okay.
we're excited to get it going. We're actually going to be doing it at the clubhouse this year.
Yeah.
In the HOA?
Do you
In
know
the
what? Do you
HOA.
know what position you're drafting in yet?
I don't. And so, I hope that I'm at, 11, 12 or, 1,
12
2,
team
3.
league.
12 team league. So,
He's you.
Now, he wants to be me. he just doesn't realize it yet that he doesn't want to
realize
be
it, but he doesn't want
me.
to be.
He wants the second pick.
He wants a second pick. No.
see, I'd rather draft back to back, when I get
Even if you have to wait from 1 to 23 and 24.
even
Sure.
if I have to wait, that gives you so much more time to determine who is the best person that you want to draft off the board, and really focus on the position. So just out of curiosity for you guys, and here's a question for you: what is the position you are drafting first off the board?
Drafting what?
What's the position that you were going for in the first round?
I'm going old school NFL draft talk. I'm going best player available.
Oh yeah, I'm going. John Madden recommends.
Yeah, I don't usually get caught up, but there's always a difference maker, and if you're in a smaller league, you might not need one of those tight ends or one of those quarterbacks, but you're in a bigger league, that might be a differentiating something.
Squelch. Yeah.
A differentiating squelch.
Yes.
So I have done 65 mock drafts so far this year. None of them have turned out the same. I'm picking in the 7th position. I kind of like the 7th position because you're kind of in the middle of the action all the time. You have to pay attention, and you're going to see, okay, there goes who I was going to take. There goes who I was going to take. There goes who I was going to take. And you have to be ready to react. The good news is we've got a little time in our league. With the mock drafts I've been doing, you have 30 seconds to pick. You got to fly. You got to be ready, or you're going to lose out on who you want. But our first 6 rounds, we'll do 2 minutes, and then after that, you'll have 1 minute. So, Ian, you may want to come out tomorrow night and check out and see who's going where, because that's probably going to be a high probability of what will happen in your draft.
Guessing Allen Robinson will be the highest drafted Nittany Lion tomorrow.
You think so?
I don't know. I
trying
think Saquon Barkley is going to.
Oh, you're
Get
absolutely
ahead of
correct.
him.
Yeah.
He won't be taken by me. I made that mistake last year.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
I went for the homer pick and it did not.
That's
it
tough to do.
Did not take me
So
home.
if I'm sitting at 7 and he's there, do I take him?
Saquon.
Yeah.
I'm going with the best available running back.
Yeah.
Like when I go ahead into the draft, I always want to go running back. I wanted to get the best available running backs
Don't tell
yeah.
Larry that. Larry's
In the
on
first 2
another
rounds.
page.
because the running backs are a commodity. I mean, the running backs that put up the points are a commodity, and there's only so many top tier running backs, and once you get
But
past,
is Saquon one of those top tier running backs?
Don't pay attention to him, Larry. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
he's a lower third of the top 12. So
Saquon?
What they always say about these injuries is that you can come back and run and do things after 10 months, but it's really that second year where you get the comfortable, you're comfortable in your range of motion and everything else. So, based on what they always say,
Who
he
is
should-
they?
The people who know so much. But I'm staying away from Barkley. Sorry.
Well, I don't think he'll, based on all the drafts that I've done, he won't be there when you pick.
I'd be great with that. That means somebody's coming to me.
That's
I'm not
somebody's coming to
expecting.
you that you weren't expecting. So if you had the number 1 pick, who you taking?
great question.
No, it shouldn't be a great question. This is the easiest question I've ever asked on this show.
No, because I have not looked at the mock profiles yet, and just remembering from last season, Derrick Henry looks like a phenomenal number 1 running back to take, and tried and true. They are running the ball. Mike Vrabel loves to run the ball, and he's the guy.
He loves to run the ball. And they've got a pretty good offensive line in Tennessee, too.
They do, and
Yeah.
I don't think Eckler can repeat last year. So
Eckler's up there.
he did a phenomenal job last year, and he was a steal.
A lot of
Those
touchdowns.
second round, third round people that he he was being picked up, and he put up the numbers.
Yeah, there's 3 people last year with Eckler, Cup, and Debo Samuel, and the 3 of them had just such incredible years that they're being drafted way too high this year.
Yeah,
but that's what
Tebow's
happens.
gone. Most of the mock drafts I've done, he's gone by my second pick, which is what 14 or 15, something
Right.
like that.
Who has been the number 1 pick in the majority of your mock drafts?
62 of the 65 drafts, Jonathan Taylor.
Oh, we've got a new one. There had been one.
One other one, Christian McCaffrey was taken once.
And
Josh
Allen.
Allen was taken
And
once.
who's this next guy?
I think it was Cooper Kupp. Obviously, it was a Ram fan. So
Hey, I was in a fantasy football league, 14 team, only 4 points for a throwing touchdown, and we had a guy take Peyton Manning with the number 1 pick 12, 13 years ago, and he dominated our league and won the league. I mean, we made fun of him because it was such an awful pick, but unless, of course, he has a Hall of Fame season.
when you have 2 good running backs, I was telling Larry and Adam the intern before the show that we had a keeper league, and the guy had Emmett Smith and Barry Sanders in his league, and he won like 4 years in a row. Why even show up and play? Because
he knew he had Emmett Sanders.
we stopped the keeper league pretty quick after that because that's just not right. so Ian's advice is take 2 running backs. Roberts is best available. I am somewhere in the middle. I have tried both drafts, both ways. I've tried running back, receiver, running back, receiver.
Do you think, Chuck, depending on what you do with your first pick at number 7, do you think you will take the other position on its way back to you? Try
I don't
to
think
balance
so.
those
I don't
scales?
know. I kind of agree with Ian. I like the 2 running back thought. But again, if somebody like a Devontae Adams is still there when I come back around,
Somebody who's getting 150 balls thrown at him.
yeah, how can you turn that down? So that's the fun of the draft. I mean, to me, the draft is fantasy football league. It is so much fun. And we're going to do things a little bit different tomorrow night. So make sure you come out and join us at Miller's L House for that. And we'll have a lot of fun. So who's going to be there for you at 12, Robert?
They keep telling me Kamara. And, not really sure I'm in love with that pick for multiple reasons, whether it be Tennessee, Saints, penal system. But, we'll see what happens. I'm hoping that maybe McCafferty drops to me.
Yeah, I don't see that
maybe
happening.
I'll get McCafferty with the McCafferty and Cup. That's who I would like with my 12th and 13th
12th,
picks.
13th pick. Good luck with that. I don't think either one of them will last past 6.
You are correct.
Yeah. So I don't know who's going to be there at 7th. I've like I said, all the number I've drafted, I've gotten anybody from Dalvin Cook to Derrick Henry to Saquon Barkley.
And
Most of the time, that's who's there at 7 for me.
What's the most emotional pool that you put in, or the most emotional stock that you put into making a pick? So, like, for example, you think about the Steelers and you think about running backs.
That should be easy for me. I can't pick a bulldog. I would have a very hard time picking a bulldog.
I try not to pick a Falcon or a Bill.
Yeah,
I
because you
have
feel like you're picking with your heart instead of your head.
And because if I want to watch the game, I just want to watch the game. I don't want to watch Pitts drop a touchdown and be like, "You cost me twice. My team stinks and my other team stinks." So
Yeah.
it's not a good thing. I should draft the best available, but that's usually my hang-up.
Now, at number 12, I would say Najee Harris. If he is still there, that would be.
I will take him with the 12th pick if he's available.
Yeah.
He probably will not be. But I've seen drafts where he was.
Absolutely. And one thing that I'll throw out at you, Chuck, just because I know Chuck, former fantasy guy who's been out of it for a while and he's been doing so many mock drafts, there are so many different cheat sheets and magazines. You've done 65
Yahoo mock drafts
on the exact same site, which has the exact same rankings. Once you get to a different site, it starts to blow it up, and you never knew. You never can tell where somebody might have somebody.
That's why I don't want to look anymore.
I'm with you.
I've
I'm
about
with you.
done all I can look. I might do one more in the morning. I know Larry's said he was going to do one more in the morning. That'll be his second, and that's probably.
Let's talk late round. Who's the late round sleeper that that you're looking for this year?
Don't listen, Chuck.
Sammy Watkins. if Aaron Rodgers has to have somebody to throw to, Sammy Watkins. Also, Tyler Algier. I think as the year goes along, he'll get more and more carries. I'm not talking 6th, 7th round. I'm talking about, the
I'm hoping
13th, 14th round.
I'm hoping both those players end up on your team, Chuck.
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
it would.
All right.
As a homer pick, Chris Godwin, I think, is going to fall because, from the production that he has been putting up, coming back from the injury, being able to play is not the equivalent of playing well. And so we're going to see how far he actually falls this year, and if he falls down to the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, or 9th round.
Well, and that gets back to, is Tampa Bay's line going to protect Brady? Can Brady make a throw? If so, Godwin might not be a bag pick in the 9th or 10th round.
Well, but you have Evans, and you figure Evans is your number one, and then you have Godwin, and then you have two former Falcons with Gage and Julio.
Yeah.
And so even though they can't block anybody, they're sending some really talented people out into patterns, and I'm gonna have to default to the guy who's got more rings than he knows what to do with it. He'll be able to find the ball and get it to somebody.
Well, speaking of getting it to somebody, we're going to give it back over to Facebook Live. We are done for the day. Hey, listen, we appreciate you joining us for Three Guys Who Love Sports. Ian, thanks for being with us. Love to have you back sometime mid-season, see what the Nittany Lions are doing.
Yeah, glad to come back. Glad to be here, and look forward to it.
And until then, don't forget, Helping One Guy is an organization that we help support. So if you want to be on the show, it costs you $100, and we will give $75 to help pay somebody's prostate cancer bill that can't afford it. So we want to help out the community and be a part of that. So Three Guys Who Love Sports, we're looking forward to seeing you next week. And join us at 7 o'clock tonight here for the KSU Owls Who Live Sports Show with Robert Knight. Hooty hoo. Y'all have a great week.
Thank you.